Money, marriage, and communication. All important things.
One day I want to find someone who sees the world like me.
What's going on, people? Ben and Brittany here from benandbrittany.net, and today we're talking about money, marriage, and communications, and they're all important things. Before you start laughing at me and mocking me, for those of you listening, Brittany liked to mock me on that last intro, but we're here to talk about money, marriage, and communication. And where do you want to start?
I want to start with how nervous you and I both were about this topic.
Yeah. Full disclosure. We were like, oh, should we do this one?
So when Ben and I first moved in together,
yeah,
I was super adamant. Like, we can get married and have babies together. But my money is my money. I will give you all of my money if you need it, but just my name on my accounts. Nobody else.
You know how that there's probably some, if there's dudes listening, they're probably like, that was the most amazing thing ever. Like, my wife took half of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I was like, we can do a budget together. Like, we had a household budget, so that way Ben knew like what everything costs to keep the house going. And
because Brittany takes care of all the finances in our house, because I am financially retarded. I know you're not allowed to say that in 2020, but I don't care. I'm financially not smart. Like, I don't know how to manage money properly. She does, so I just kind of hover over her shoulder and be like, why are you doing that? Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah. So I'm
going to go write a song.
Yeah. I made him at least pay attention to the budget, and then when I needed money from him, I would just be like, okay.
Yeah.
You could help pay for this month.
Yeah.
And then, first, when he first moved in, I wouldn't even let Ben contribute.
Yeah, at first I was broke as a joke.
Well, it didn't even matter. I was just like, nope, doing this on my own. This is my apartment. My name is on the lease. Like, got this apartment on my own, and I didn't want a penny from anyone. Like, I was being super stubborn.
Yeah, I could split the bills with you at that point, but it was like, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Like, you offered.
Yeah.
And then finally it was like September. So he moved in June, and it was September, and he was finally like, I'm paying rent this month, and I don't care what you say, but I'm not living here for free. And everything
started going better with music, and everything was working out, so I was able to contribute more. And ever since then, like, I make her, we split everything, and we just had the talk about we kept our bank accounts separate.
Yeah, so we got married in July. Yeah. It's now January, and it's been getting really complicated. So, again, I manage all the money. When I mean manage, like I said, I'm very transparent. I make Ben
I know
sit
everything
with
that goes on.
Yeah.
Brittany's she just spearheads that operation.
I'm the one that logs in, pays bills. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that inputs it in the spreadsheet, but then I show Ben everything, and Ben sees everything that we're doing. So there's still transparency, but there was still a lot of separation, which also meant double the accounts. And then we each have a business account. Then we have the Ben and Brittany business account, which was not in both of our names, even though it's called Ben and Brittany. Yeah. It was just like, it was so hard for me to conjoin actual finances. We talked about it, but I didn't know if I was ready to join it.
And for those of you guys who don't know why that is, it's because Brittany got financially kind of wronged in the past. So she's very, very jaded when it comes to sharing and putting two names on loans and things like that. Like, she wanted separation for the longest time because she had been burnt, and we're now deep enough in our marriage where she's like, okay, we can kind of, maybe it is better to have joint bank accounts. And the reason for that is we have multiple businesses and multiple different things contributing to each of our accounts, and it's starting to get difficult to keep track of everything efficiently.
Yeah.
We could keep track of it, but it's just starting to become a pain in the ass.
Especially the big eye-opener was when I was getting us ready for taxes. So we do have an accountant. He is awesome, but there's still a couple things that I had to do to get everything ready to make it easier for Chris to do our taxes, which saves us a little bit of money when we have it all organized. And when I was going through all of it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is just insane. Like, how many accounts that we have. And, you know, I know that I had been burnt in the past, but that's not Ben's fault. And I married him, which means I need to trust him 110%. And it's showing a lack of trust by not wanting to join accounts. And I think because we talk about it so well together, that's why I'm finally comfortable joining the family account to do the family bills out of.
Yes, just to keep everything streamlined.
Keep it streamlined, keep it efficient, and yet we're still on the same page. We still do the budget together. You know, I might start it, but then, like, if Ben is working on something, but we always kind of, it's odd enough, but we have, like, meetings about it together monthly to go over a budget, and then even weekly we kind of talk about where we're at with things.
Yeah.
Seems how we're not...
By meetings, we mean, like, we curl up in bed.
Yeah, we curl up in bed next to each other with the laptop
out.
and the spreadsheets, and I'm typing. But why do we want to talk about this? So we want to talk about it because money, marriage, and communication is one of the most important things in a marriage altogether. Dave Ramsey is a financial expert that I have been following for years, and he is very highly regarded. He's just really great when it comes time to basic budget tips. Like, he makes it super simple and super easy for anyone. And I have always known that money is one of the biggest reasons that couples fight and why marriages fail. My last marriage, for example. So, one stat that I thought is pretty interesting is that couples who fight about money have about $30,000 in consumer debt on average. 63% of all marriages start off in the red. So they start off in debt together.
Wow.
41% of couples who have consumer debt say they argue about money, and that's what they argue about the most. In comparison, only 25% of couples who are debt-free say they argue about money. So you're looking at 41% compared to 25%. That's a big difference. And then the percentage of people who are married 25 years or more only 43% of them had debt, whereas if they were only married 5 years or less, they had 86% of them.
I wonder how much of that is attributed to college loans. Like, you know, you get out of college and then that's about the time a lot of people start to get married, and they have $100K in college loans.
I'm sure. And basically, the correlation in this study, I won't go over the whole thing, is but the more debt that a couple has, the more likely they are to fight. So the higher the debt, the more arguments that will happen. Yeah,
I think that's just, even if you're not in a relationship, the less money you have, the more unhappy you are. Because you have more real problems. Like, a lot of people say that money doesn't solve everything, and that's true, it doesn't, but it sure solves a lot of stuff. Like, a lot. Like, think about all the problems you wouldn't have if money weren't like a thing. Like, well, if you just had unlimited dollars and cents.
It's not even about how much money that they had or didn't have. It's about how they spent it. That's the key. So, like, 94% of those surveyed that had great marriages say that they discuss their money and dreams together, compared to 45% who say that their marriages are okay or are in crisis and they do not talk about money together. So the key is communication.
Working as a team. There's transparency with the funds, and there's less debt. You can be not earning a ton of money and not have a ton of debt. You have to live within your means, which can be hard. And I'm not saying that people don't get hit with unexpected expenses that could put them into debt. That definitely happens. But
I'm also saying that you don't have to be rich to be in a happy marriage. I think if you both make financial decisions together and you talk about the budget and what your dreams and goals are financially,
you'll be more on track.
You're going to be more on track and less likely to steer. I think where the unhappiness coming from experience, would be the lack of communication about money and the lack of transparency. So like one person being like, okay, here's our budget, these are our bills, this is where our money needs to go, and then finding out that the money is going towards all these other things. Then you have one person feeling like they don't get to use the money for fun, or they're doing all this work to keep them on track, and then the other person's just like, oh, whatever, willy-nilly spending it everywhere. And that's when you kind of get that butting of heads and unhappiness.
That is a childish argument. That's well, this isn't fair. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. Like, oh, you're spending more of the money that I worked hard for? Like, that's not fair.
Right.
That's like a childish thing.
So I think, in short, it's just when you're in a serious relationship, I think when you move in with someone, before you move in with someone, you should talk about money and finances. You should know each other's debt. You should be very open about it. Mm-hmm. And work on having the least amount of debt before getting married as possible. When you do get married, Ben and I have realized, and this is also a Dave Ramsey recommendation, is once you get married, then you join accounts, because that's what keeps everything very transparent. And
that gets you working as a team from day one. Like, right. That's one of those there's no turning back now type deals. Like, so you might as well make the best of it and be a good team and figure out this financial thing, because there is no my money versus your money. And, I made this much, so I get to have this much fun, and you only made that much, so you only get to have that much fun. It's not like that at all. You just, everything is split.
Yep. So just make it easier, and then that just builds the trust. Yeah. Once you start having separate accounts after marriage, that's when like a distrust can form. Yeah. There are other articles that say, some couples still choose to keep separate accounts. But Dave Ramsey says that's just a huge red flag. That once if you decide to get married, you become one. So your money should become one. However, in today's world, a lot of people are getting married later. So they've been managing their own money for a lot longer. And it's a lot harder for them to give up that freedom. That I worked hard to build this kind of thing. Like, why do I get... Right, your money's your money. Why do I have to put it at risk? My money's my money. We can split the bills down the middle. And, that might work for some people. Well, what's the idea of a prenup? A prenup is let's say somebody gets married January 1st, 2020. The spouse who signs the prenup is not entitled to any amount of money made December 31st, 2019 and prior. Oh, okay. So that's if I made enough money to buy this mansion and then we get married, I can be like, you don't get half of my mansion. Mm-hmm. If we split up. Right. Okay, that's what a prenup is. Yeah. All right, I got you. So, what do you think our advice to anyone listening is? Like, if people are listening and they've been married for X amount of years or any time at all, really, mm-hmm. would you say joint accounts immediately? I would say if it's not broken, don't fix it. So, if it's working super well for them. Yeah. They have separate accounts. They don't fight about money. They have joint goals, and they openly talk about finances, and it does not create a friction. Then I am kind of like, well, why complicate things now? Yeah. If it's working, I am an advocate for that. It's it's not like a one-size-fits-all type thing. That's true. But I would say if money does become an issue and your accounts are separate, maybe that's something that you need to look at. Yeah. Or some people might be thinking, well, our marriage isn't going well. That's the last thing I want right now. I mean, if your marriage isn't going well, I guess I would advise.
Then it's not going well.
It depends on how not well it's going. Dave Ramsey did say that if couples are married and they have joint accounts and one of the spouses all of a sudden wants separate accounts, huge red flag.
Yeah, look out.
Like, not good. I would not ever advocate separating accounts. Like, you should be 110% on the same page with money if you are married.
Mm-hmm. You're one household, you're one family, and it should just be that way.
Yep.
I'm not saying that it should be universally. I'm saying, like, if you want it to work properly, I feel like that's the best way to go. Day one, as soon as you get married, like, you guys should go join your accounts and then figure out life together. Otherwise, you're going down this financial journey still apart. And that's what Brittany and I did for a while because she was a little jaded. But now we're just looking at the whole grand scheme of everything that we want to do with our lives, and it's just going to be so much easier to conjoin them. And we just did all this research after we made that decision. We have an appointment on Friday to join all of our bank accounts, all of our business accounts, everything under one title. And we made that decision. We started doing all this research, and we decided that this was probably a decent topic that at least 50% of people that are married have thought of or will think about at some point. And
people who are dating probably think about it, like if they are living together or they're in serious relationships.
Yeah.
My advice to that, if you are not married, I don't care if it's 2 days before the wedding, do not join accounts.
Yeah.
Do not do it. Wedding dates fall apart. People call off weddings. Once you can join money, it gets a lot stickier to undo it. But when you say, I do, you're saying that with the intention of forever. And that's why that trust needs to be solidified by joining the funds. But I would not recommend co-signing loans. I would not recommend getting on joint accounts prior to marriage because you can't undo it then. You know, when you get a divorce, there is legal paperwork that splits everything up. And even then, it doesn't unco-sign you from loans. But
so you really can't get out of co-signing for loans without filing for bankruptcy.
Unless you have things like refinances in place, if the other spouse can do that, and there's buyouts, and there's lots of legal stuff that can take place to help you with that. Bankruptcy was my only option because it was a large sum of credit card debt that I did not know about. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents. And the other thing I would highly recommend, a lot of people take premarital counseling with like their pastor or a counselor. That's great. If that's something that you think is going to benefit you, I'm sure there's a lot of positive reasons to do that. My biggest advice would be to actually go to a financial counselor. So Ben and I, we actually went to Life Guide Financial here in Carlisle. They have another office in Mechanicsburg. And we spoke with a financial advisor, and he gave us a lot of really helpful tips on how to budget. He reviewed our current budget, gave us some opinions on where we could maybe improve and some other helpful ideas. And it just helped Ben and I learn how to communicate a little bit better about money with each other. I would highly recommend that.
Spreadsheets.
Same thing with having an accountant review things for us just to see if there's any way that we can save on taxes. And then on top of that, Dave Ramsey is another super helpful tool. He has a lot of financial classes from anywhere from like a $9 book to a $100 online course. But because so many marriages fail because of financial problems, I just feel like that should be a priority when you first get married. Is just, if you don't know how to talk about money together, if you don't know how to budget,
better figure it out. And
you should do it together. It should not be one-sided. Another interesting thing that Dave Ramsey said was, when you do joint accounts, you should not have just one person managing all the money telling spouse number 2 how much money they're allowed to have, and like kind of being like the money Nazi. Like, all of that should be done together. Just so that way one person doesn't feel like, well, I can never go do anything and he controls all the money or she controls all the money. They may have good reason, like you just truly may not have a lot of wiggle room. But if both couples are on the same page and and they're doing it together and it's not like one person in the higher
I'm going to disagree with Dave
control.
Ramsey on that one.
Why?
Because my situation is that I know that you are OCD in a good way. Like you are very meticulous. You're great at budgeting. You're doing all these things that my brain does not want to do.
Right.
And I would love it if you were just like, hey Ben, you got $600 of wiggle room this month. I'd be like, word, where's my check? I'm out. like I would love that. That would be amazing.
But you would start to resent me, I think.
I don't think I would, because I love you and I know who you are. You're my best friend. Like I would trust you not to
so what if
mess that up.
What if it was a super low amount?
Super low amount, I would get together you and I'd be like, okay, what's going on with our finances? Like where are we losing too much money? Like,
see what I'm saying? So then you would be on board for a joint conversation.
Well, yeah, for sure, if it was bad. But if it's good.
So then you don't disagree with Dave Ramsey.
I guess not, no. I guess if money's tight, yeah, I want to know where it's going. Just because I want to know, not because I think you're doing anything.
Right. Like I totally understand the trust level, but I think you would start to get irritated if I was like, you have $25 this week. That's it. Sorry, don't spend another penny. And
I'd be like, I told you not to get that coffee at $13 a bag.
Then you would start to wonder. Yeah. And this is just kind of, it's related, but I log onto our bank account almost every day and I check transactions. And the reason that I do this, and Ben will get random texts from me and I'll be like, did you spend such and such at Sheetz? That's a local gas station for those who are not in our area. And Ben knows that I'm not getting on him about spending money at Sheetz. I have this big fear.
You think it's fraud?
I'm always like, it's fraud. But it's because it's happened to me twice in the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I only would have caught it if I checked my bank account every day. So the one was I ordered business card magnets from Vistaprint. And Vistaprint charged me my amount for my order on one day. 2 days later, they charged me the exact same amount again. I probably wouldn't have caught it if I didn't check it every day. Yeah. Because, I would have just thought that was from my order.
There's plenty of things that I didn't catch until you came into my life. Oh. For over a year, ladies and gentlemen, I was paying 2 Planet Fitness memberships. And I had Amazon Prime for 8 months and didn't know, and they were just taking money from me. It added up to over a year and a half or something, 2 years. I lost $1,300 in bullshit.
Do you remember the other one?
What other one?
He was also paying for credit monitoring alerts.
Oh yeah, somehow
$30 a month to Equifax or something like that.
For 8 months.
For a really long time, and I was like, ugh.
That's how on top of my finances I was before I met Brittany.
I got him pretty cleaned up.
That's embarrassing.
Am I allowed to talk about the other thing?
What other thing?
The student loans.
Oh sure, yeah, I don't care. No, nothing to hide.
So
here.
Ben was also maybe a little behind on some student loans, and he didn't really realize it until I did all of Ben's change of address stuff when he moved in for him.
I said, "Here's my life. Take care of me."
Yeah, so I took care of him. So then I started getting all this mail for Ben on these student loans, and I was like, Ben, what?
Yeah, because I had.
What is all of this? And
yeah, I had never changed my address. The last place I lived, so my mail went to a vacant house for a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, we got that squared away.
Yeah. This is the most embarrassing podcast I've ever been a part of.
So sorry. It was not supposed to go down this rabbit hole.
No, it's all good.
We had a totally different direction.
I got nothing to hide. If my stupid stories can help anybody, I'm in. I don't care.
So if anybody can understand why I had a little hesitation in joining accounts. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
We got him taken care of. It was just a matter of just getting some stuff fixed.
Yeah.
But we did it
was
together.
cleaning up the BS. Like,
Ben
I was making money at the time. I just wasn't
organized.
I wasn't organized. I didn't have a good hold on things. So it was bad.
Ben is very creative. He's super intelligent, and he's very good at what he does. He hates paperwork. Like,
I hate it.
When mail comes in and like he has to do anything more than like check a box and sign it, Ben gets angry. Like, I get so mad. It ruins his entire day.
And I can't explain that. I'm not proud of it, but like, if you hand me something from if Wells Fargo sends me a super important notice, I freak out.
He's like, "What does this mean?" So
get it away. Like, you know how people fear snakes?
Yeah,
that's how I am with mail.
So like, basically, Ben lets me open his mail.
I've never gotten anything in the mail that was good. And that was from that wasn't like handwritten.
Can I finish?
Sorry.
I love you.
You're getting me all fired up.
I know. So basically, Ben gets stuff in the mail. I just read it, determine if it's important or not, and if he can handle it on his own. If he cannot handle it on his own, I time block time that week, and I'm like, babe, we have to discuss this. Thursday at noon work for you, and then we have to time block some time, and he has to like get mentally prepared to like have to make some phone calls or get some paperwork together.
That's my second least favorite thing in the world.
But now that all of that is cleaned up, we're finally joining bank accounts, and it's going to make my life so much easier. And we've just realized that, you know, my past can't keep haunting Ben, and the financial aspect of it was definitely one of my areas of trust where I had a hard time with, and I love Ben. So this is my way of being 110% open and trusting in you to join accounts. And plus, we have a lot of joint financial goals, obviously.
That's the main thing.
Or dreams that require money.
Once we cleaned up my past, we were like, we have nothing but the future ahead of us, so like, why not start how? So this is kind of our clean slate financially. Once everything's together, it's the two of us moving forward together, not cleaning up the past. You know,
right?
Like,
we're
putting the
fresh.
brooms and the dustpans away, and we're getting out our big guns, and we're going into battle.
Right.
You know.
Right. So our first financial goal, we have a list.
Yeah.
That Ben took a picture of, and he's going to post, right?
Yes.
And it's basically our dream board. But the dream board is also pretty much our large financial goals for up to 3 years and then lifetime.
3-year goals and lifetime goals.
Our first goal, which we talked about this in the resolution podcast, is to have 6 months of emergency savings. What that means is the amount of money that it takes to run our household per month. And that's, you know, rent, electric, groceries, insurance, like everything times 6.
Yeah.
That's how much money we want to have saved up in savings, because we both are self-employed. We don't have short-term disability. We don't have a guarantee of a paycheck every month.
Nope.
And we just realized that only having like a month worth of bills and savings just really wasn't enough. Especially if something big were to happen, like a medical issue, a baby.
And like there's unforeseen expenses all the time. So, like gifts.
Well, that's going to be a different fund.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so that's our first one. And it's actually a lot nicer. So we used to have our savings accounts obviously separated. And it almost looked more defeating, like, because I could only see my number in the savings account. Meanwhile, Ben's putting all this money in savings too. And then we realized, like, wow, like we're combining them, and now we're halfway to the first mark on our goal.
Yeah, and there's been times where, like, financially, we were kind of panicking because I didn't know how much she had saved and she didn't know how much I had saved. So she would come home and be like, oh my God, we're going to lose the house. Ah! And I'd be like, no, we're good here.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about next month? Ah!
Yeah. We got hit like at the same time in 2019 with large bills and then closings that fell apart. Like when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
But we got through it.
We did.
So, but part of our dream board now is every time we hit a milestone, so like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, 5 month, and then 6 months of savings, we get to color it in. And I told Ben I have to do that because I'm so visual. Like I have all my spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That help me see it too, but then being able to see the board, it's on the other side of the bed.
Oh, is it?
It's just going to be a fun way to work towards our savings. It's also to motivate me to not waste money, because that's the reason why we don't have a big savings right now.
Yeah. So there's everything that's on our board. I'm
a great negotiator because I'm a real estate agent, so I can tend to negotiate wants into needs pretty easily. So this is to help motivate me to not do that.
We got the visual.
I'm like, babe, but we do need these lamps because we need more light next to the bed so we can read.
We need 2 of them.
And we need 2 of them because you can't have your photography be unsymmetrical in the photos if we're taking them in the bed ever, which we've done. And then Ben's like, oh, okay. Next thing you know, I have 2 lamps, new lampshades, a curtain to match because it clashed with the curtain.
And we're panicking about rent.
I'm kidding. Sort of. Anyway.
No, everybody's got to put a little bit of a rein on their spending every now and then. Sometimes we get out of hand. Naturally, we're human.
It's human.
But we're doing a real good job of putting the muzzle on Brittany.
On me?
Just kidding. I got a video game the other day. It was $10. Hello Neighbor.
Yep. Again, we're joining bank accounts. Total open transparency.
You said I could.
I did because it was close to Christmas. It was super cute. See, you got to stick to the budget.
I wanted to play one game.
This is why we have to stick to the budget, and we're gonna get super good.
Yes.
Get super good at it. And now we have to because we just told the world.
Yeah, we told the world about my terrible financial situation pre-marriage. How Brittany came in, cleaned it up. I'll tell you what. Brittany actually has a bunch of spreadsheets that she uses to run our life, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what we'll do. We will, if you guys are watching on YouTube, we will link those in description below. And if you're watching on Facebook, we will do the same. I'm not sure how to get it to somebody who's listening directly on a podcast website like Spotify or something. But
what we are going to do...
You can go to benandbrittany.net and we'll have it all listed there for free.
Yeah, we're going to have a free tab implemented where it's just like free stuff that we can provide.
Free stuff from us.
I'm going to make some spreadsheets that I will not make, but put my templates on there for budgeting, for our business budget, our meal planning. Just a couple different tools on there.
A lot of the things that we've created for our own use were because we learned things the hard way. You know, for instance, money management. We both learned the hard way on that, but we've righted that ship. So now we have all these systems in place, and we just want to share them with you guys. And if it helps you, awesome.
Yeah, and we were paying for apps previously, and we thought they were cool because like we could keep our accounts separate, but transparent on this app called Mint, and then we had QuickBooks Self-Employed for each of us.
Yeah, neither of them worked.
Yep, they didn't work right. They did not work right. I meant to say well and right at the same time.
Technology is only...
It's just, it got to the point too where it was just too complicated. Like I couldn't look at everything in one spot. I had to keep clicking all these tabs.
Yeah, and sometimes you just can't trust it, and I don't like that. We can trust our own systems that we created.
The spreadsheets, it sounds archaic.
But it works. It's the only thing you can trust.
And it's free.
Yeah.
And it's free. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you my templates, and, maybe we could do like a short video on how to use some of them, because some of them have like drop-down lists. And people...
Yeah, we can put a question or a submission box on our website too, so if people want to ask us questions, they can just do it there.
Totally reach out.
Yep, send us an email anytime, benandbrittanygiles@gmail.com.
Learn from our mistakes. I mean, I filed bankruptcy after my first marriage, and we have learned so much together from that. Ben went through, like, he didn't file bankruptcy, but he was there with me the entire process, which was a huge mental relief to have that. It was very stressful and scary,
Yeah.
But we both have learned a lot together. And I think that kind of goes back to these articles. You know, happy marriage comes from communicating about money. And we've always been so upfront with each other, and we've always taken the time, even when we didn't want to.
Yeah, that's me.
To handle financial hiccups that arise. And I don't think you have to have a ton of money to be in a happy marriage. I think you just need to openly talk about it and budget together and stick to the budget together. And if you fall off track, just make sure you both get back on. Yep.
And if anybody is really bad in the financial department right now in their lives, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, I have no money, I have all this debt, blah blah blah. I don't know if you were any worse than I was. Like, I was in bad shape, but I'm in much better shape now. If you're in bad shape, it is fixable. Don't worry too much about it. Just get your systems in place to go about fixing it. You can definitely get there. It's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time and effort. So
yeah, and definitely don't hesitate to reach out to us. We can get you in the right direction. Do not pay people to help you repair your credit. That's a whole nother topic, but don't do it.
Don't do it.
There's ways to do it for free.
Yes.
Message out to us about your situation, and we can at least point you in the right direction. We can't solve your problem, but we can at least get you where you need to go.
Yes.
I think that's it.
All right, cool. Thank you guys for listening. Text Ben and Brittany to 422-8318, 717-422-8318. I always mess that up.
You really do.
Text Ben and Brittany to 717-422-8318. And that's how you can become a part of our community. You can get a bunch of free stuff from us, tips and tricks. We send out monthly newsletters with a bunch of information, exclusive stuff. We'll see you guys in the next podcast. Thank you for supporting.